The council chamber was in chaos. For 3 hours they had debated the human proposal. Some called it blackmail. Others called it weakness. No one called it fair. They want us to admit genocide, Draxus roared. To shame the Empire before the entire galaxy. I say we crush them now before they grow stronger. And risk a coalition war? Sarika countered. Our intelligence confirms they have contacted at least 15 conquered species. If they unite against us, let them try, Draxus interrupted. We are the Kethran Empire. We fear no one. Valera stood silent, watching the council tear itself apart. She had presented the human demands clearly. Recognition, reparations, territory. Simple requests that would cost the Empire almost nothing. But pride was more expensive than resources. Empress Thraka raised her hand. The chamber fell silent. War Chief Valera, the Empress said, you have been quiet. What is your recommendation? Valera knew this moment would define her legacy. She could side with the hardliners and prepare for war, or she could speak a truth that might cost her everything. I recommend we accept their terms, Valera said. The chamber erupted again. Draxus pointed at her, his face twisted with rage. You betray the Empire. You who destroyed Earth now defend its survivors. This is treason! This is reality, Valera said loudly. I destroyed Earth because I believed it would end the human threat. I was wrong. I did not end them. I made them stronger, more determined, more dangerous, and now they stand before us offering peace and you want to refuse because of pride? It is not pride, Draxus shouted. It is honor. The Empire does not negotiate with defeated enemies. They are not defeated, Valera said coldly. That is the point. They survived. They rebuilt. They are here, making demands. And we have to listen because the alternative is war. A war we might lose. Impossible, is it? Valera turned to face the entire council. How many allies do we have? How many species love the Kethran Empire? We rule through fear and force, but humans offer something different. Hope, freedom, a chance to resist us. If they unite the conquered species, we face not thousands of enemies, but millions. Can we win that war, Draxus? Can you guarantee victory? Draxus had no answer. Empress Thraka studied Valera carefully. You said you destroyed Earth, you watched their planet burn. How can you now advocate for peace with them? Valera took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Because I remember something I buried for 200 years, she said. During the final battle, some evacuation ships escaped. My officers wanted to pursue and destroy them. I ordered them not to. I told myself it was tactical, that those ships were not a threat. But the truth is, she paused. The truth is I could not watch more children die. So I let them go, believing space would kill them for me. I was wrong. Those children survived. They grew up. And now they stand before us, not seeking revenge but asking for recognition. They have earned that much. The chamber was silent. Every council member stared at Valera. You let them escape? Draxus whispered. You allowed this? Yes, Valera said. And I am glad I did. Because those humans proved something. They proved that life finds a way, that hope endures, that even in the darkest void people can survive and rebuild. The Kethran Empire destroys. Humans create. Maybe it is time we learned from them. Empress Thraka stood. The chamber held its breath. War Chief Valera, the Empress said, you have admitted to allowing enemies to escape. Under military law, this is a crime. You will face trial. Valera nodded. She had expected this. I understand, Empress. However, Thraka continued, before your trial you will return to Hope's threshold. You will tell the humans we accept their terms. We will recognize the genocide. We will provide reparations, and we will grant them territory in the outer reaches to rebuild. Draxus jumped to his feet. Empress, you cannot— Silence, Thraka commanded. The war chief is right. Pride is expensive. War is more expensive. We will make peace with the humans, and then we will put Valera on trial for her actions 200 years ago. Let the humans see that we hold our own accountable. Perhaps it will build trust. Valera felt something break inside her. Relief, fear, shame, pride, all mixed together. Thank you, Empress, she said quietly. Do not thank me, Thraka said coldly. This changes nothing for you personally. You will still face justice for your crimes, both the crime of genocide and the crime of mercy. Our people must see that neither is acceptable in the Empire. Valera returned to Hope's threshold 3 days later. The human delegation was waiting. When she entered the conference room, they could see something had changed in her expression. "The Council has agreed to your terms," Valera said. "We will formally recognize what was done to Earth as genocide. We will provide resources for your rebuilding, and we will grant you 3 systems in the outer reaches as sovereign human territory." Mirai looked surprised. "All of it? We expected to negotiate." "There is no negotiation," Valera said. "These are our terms. Accept them or reject them, but understand that if you reject them, the hardliners in my government will take control, and there will be war." Hyun-woo studied her. "What happens to you now, War Chief?" "I face trial," Valera said simply. "For war crimes, for the destruction of Earth, and possibly for allowing some of you to escape." "They will punish you for showing mercy?" Yoonji asked, shocked. "Catherine law is absolute. I broke it." "I must answer for that." Mirai stood and walked around the table. She stopped in front of Valera, looking up at the tall warrior. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Valera said. "I want nothing. I am simply delivering the Council's decision." "That is not true," Mirai said softly. "You want something? I can see it in your eyes. What is it?" Valera was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to know that it was worth it. That your survival, your rebuilding means something. I want to know that the children I let escape became good people." "Better than me." Hyun-woo approached. He was crying now, tears running down his aged face. "We are not better than you, War Chief. We are just different. You gave us a chance whether you meant to or not. And we took that chance and built something new, something based not on conquest but on cooperation. We remembered what you did, but we chose not to repeat it. That is our answer to genocide. We refused to become the thing that hurt us." He extended his hand, a human gesture of peace. Valera looked at it for a long time. Then slowly she reached out and took his hand. "I am sorry," she said. The words felt strange in her mouth. Catherine's did not apologize, but she needed to say them. "I am sorry for what I did, for the children who died, for the world that burned. I cannot undo it, but I am sorry." "We know," Hyun-woo said, "and we accept your apology, not because we forgive, not yet, but because we choose peace over pain." The treaty was signed 2 weeks later. Representatives from 15 species attended. The Catherine Empire formally acknowledged the genocide of Earth. They agreed to reparations. They granted humans 3 star systems, and they agreed to something else. Something Mirai requested specifically. They agreed that Valera's trial would be public, that humans would be allowed to testify, and that whatever sentence was decided, it would be carried out with human observers present. The trial lasted 2 months. Evidence was presented, recordings of the Earth battle, testimonies from survivors, analysis of orders given and actions taken. Valera did not defend herself. She admitted everything. She described the bombardment, the destruction of evacuation ships, the systematic elimination of human colonies. She left nothing out, but she also described the ships she let escape, the choice she made to allow some to live, the tiny spark of mercy in an ocean of cruelty. The judges debated for 3 days. Finally, they reached a verdict. War Chief Valera, the head judge said, "You are guilty of war crimes, of genocide against the human species. The sentence is death." The chamber was silent. However, the judge continued, "You also showed mercy when none was required. You allowed survivors to escape, and you have cooperated fully with this trial. Therefore, the sentence is reduced. You will not die, but you will never command again. You will be stripped of rank and title, and you will spend the next 20 years in exile, working to help rebuild what you destroyed." Valera bowed her head. "I accept the sentence." Mirai stood in the gallery. "We have a proposal. Let her work with us. Let her help rebuild human colonies. Let her see what we are creating. Maybe in 20 years she will understand what she could not understand 200 years ago." The judges conferred. Finally, they agreed. Valera was taken to the first new human colony. It was on a moon in the outer reaches, a place of red dust and thin atmosphere, but humans were building there, constructing homes, planting crops in underground farms, creating life where there was none. She worked alongside them, hauling materials, operating machinery, following orders instead of giving them. It was hard work, humbling work, but necessary work. One day, 5 years into her sentence, a young human girl approached her. The girl was maybe 10 years old, born after the treaty. "Are you the war chief?" the girl asked. "Not anymore," Valera said. "I am just Valera now. My teacher says you destroyed Earth, is that true?" Valera knelt down to the girl's level. "Yes, it is true. I did a terrible thing." The girl thought about this. "Why? Because I was afraid. And fear makes people do cruel things. Are you still afraid?" The Kethrin High Council chamber was a place of power and fear. 12 members sat in raised seats looking down at those who came before them. At the highest seat sat Empress Thraka, ruler of the Kethrin Empire, her scales dark with age and her eyes sharp with intelligence. War Chief Valera stood in the center, alone. She had requested this audience personally. Around the chamber, guards lined the walls, weapons ready. No one trusted anyone here. "You claim humans are alive," Empress Thraka said. Her voice was cold. "You claim they have ships, technology, organization, and yet for 200 years we detected nothing. Explain this, War Chief." Valera had prepared for this. She had brought evidence, recordings, analysis, but she knew none of it would matter unless the council wanted to believe. "They hid deliberately," Valera said. "They learned our sensor systems and designed technology to avoid detection. They established colonies in places we considered worthless. And they waited." Council member Draxus, a military hardliner, laughed. "Impossible. No species could hide that long. This is a trick. Perhaps a small group of survivors spreading fear. The evidence suggests otherwise," Valera said calmly. She activated a holographic display. It showed the station, the message from Mireille, the battle with the human ship. The council watched in silence. "They disabled 3 of our destroyers without firing lethal weapons," Valera continued. "They had clear opportunity to destroy my vessel. They chose not to. This suggests organization, strategy, and most importantly, restraint." "Restraint?" Empress Thraka leaned forward. "Or weakness. If it were weakness, they would not have revealed themselves at all." "No, Empress. This is a message. They are showing us they have power but choosing not to use it. Yet." Council member Sarika, a scientist, spoke up. "War Chief, how many humans do you estimate survived?" "Unknown. Based on evacuation ship records, perhaps 10,000 initially. Over 200 years with controlled breeding. That number could be 50,000. Perhaps more." 50,000, Draxus scoffed. "Against an empire of billions? Let them reveal themselves. We will crush them again." "You do not understand," Valera said, her voice hard. "These are not the humans we fought 200 years ago. Those humans were soft. They valued peace. These humans were forged in darkness and death. They grew up knowing nothing but survival. They are different now. Dangerous." Empress Thraka raised a hand for silence. "What do you recommend, War Chief?" Valera took a breath. This was the moment she had been preparing for. "We should negotiate," the chamber erupted. Council members shouted over each other. Draxus stood, his face twisted in rage. "Negotiate with prey? With survivors of a defeated species? You insult this council." "I insult no one," Valera said loudly. "I am trying to prevent another war. One we might not win. We defeated them once," Draxus growled. "We will do so again." "At what cost?" Valera challenged. "They have studied us for 2 centuries. They know our tactics, our technology, our weaknesses, and they are not alone. My intelligence suggests they have made alliances with other species we have conquered, species who hate us. If we attack, we may face not just humans but a coalition." The council fell silent. This was a new consideration. The Kethrin Empire had many enemies. If those enemies united under human leadership, Empress Thraka studied Valera carefully. "You led the campaign against Earth. You destroyed their world. Why do you now advocate for peace?" It was a trap question. Valera knew it. Any sign of weakness, any hint of doubt, and the council would turn on her. "Because I am practical," Valera said. "I won that war because I understood the enemy. I know humans better than anyone in this chamber. I know how they think, how they fight, and I know that fighting them now would be different. They have nothing to lose, Empress. We have everything to lose." "You fear them," Draxus accused. "I respect them," Valera corrected. "There is a difference." Empress Thraka was quiet for a long moment. The human sent a message requesting a meeting. "A summit, neutral territory. They want to talk." Valera felt her heart skip. "When?" "1 month." On the station called Hope's Threshold. It is old neutral, maintained by independent traders. They suggested we send representatives. They will do the same. A trap, Draxus said immediately. Perhaps, Empress Thraka agreed. Or perhaps they are serious. War Chief Valera, you will attend this summit. You will learn what they want. And you will report back to this council. But understand this. Her eyes were cold. If you show weakness, if you make deals without our approval, you will face trial for treason. Am I clear? Yes, Empress. And War Chief? Take guards. Many guards. If this is a trap, make sure you can fight your way out. The council dismissed her. Valera left the chamber, her mind racing. 1 month to prepare. 1 month to understand what humanity wanted. She spent the next 3 weeks gathering information. She spoke with intelligence officers who had analyzed human behavior. She reviewed historical records from the Earth War. She tried to understand not just what humans were, but what they had become. One report caught her attention. It was from a trader who had dealings in the outer reaches. He claimed to have met a human merchant named Yunji, trading rare metals. The human had been professional, fair, and had paid well. She spoke of rebuilding, the trader reported, of creating something new. She said humans had learned from their mistakes, that they would not repeat the past. Valera tracked down more reports. Human traders appearing in neutral markets, human engineers helping repair stations, human doctors treating sick aliens, always quietly, always carefully, never drawing attention. They were integrating, slowly, building relationships, creating alliances. Brilliant. The day of the summit arrived. Valera took 3 ships and a full security detail. They traveled to Hope's Threshold, an old station at the edge of neutral space. It was small, cramped, and perfect for a meeting. No place to hide a fleet, no way to launch a surprise attack. The human delegation arrived in a single ship. It was elegant, dark, and completely unarmed. A statement of peace, or supreme confidence. Valera met them in the central conference room. Mireille was there, the woman from the holographic messages. Beside her was Daeun, looking healthy and calm, and 3 others. A young woman named Yunji, an older man named Sang-hoon, and a human who introduced himself as Hyunwoo. That name struck Valera like a blow. Hyunwoo. She knew that name. You, she said, staring at him. You were a child. On one of the evacuation ships. Hyunwoo nodded. He was in his 60s now, gray-haired but strong. Yes, I was 8 years old when you destroyed my world. I remember looking out the viewport as Earth burned. I remember my mother crying, my father trying to stay strong for us, and I remember your ship letting us go. Valera felt something cold in her chest. I let you go because I thought you would die in space. I know, Hyunwoo said, and we almost did. But we survived, because that is what humans do. They sat across from each other, 2 species separated by centuries of hate and pain. Mireille spoke first. We did not come here for revenge, War Chief. We came here to talk about the future. What future? Valera asked. What do you want? We want recognition, Mireille said. We want the Kethran Empire to acknowledge what you did to Earth, to formally recognize that humanity was nearly destroyed by genocide. And we want reparations. Reparations? Valera almost laughed. You want us to pay you? We want resources to rebuild, territory to settle, the right to exist without fear. Is that so unreasonable? Valera looked at each human face. They were serious. This was not a negotiation tactic. They truly believed they could demand these things. The council will never agree, Valera said. Then we will make them agree, Yunji said quietly. We have allies now, War Chief. Species you have conquered and oppressed. They are ready to support us. If the Kethran Empire refuses to negotiate, we will build a coalition. And we will fight. You would start a war? Valera asked. No, Mireille said firmly. You would start it. By refusing to acknowledge what you did, by continuing to deny us the right to exist, we are offering peace, War Chief. We are offering a chance to end this cycle of violence. But we will not beg, and we will not hide anymore. Valera was quiet for a long time. She thought about the Empire, about the Council, about 200 years of lies. I need to know something, Valera said finally. Why did you not attack us when you had the chance? Your ship disabled our destroyers. It could have destroyed them. Why spare them? Hyunwoo answered. Because we are not you. Because we learned from what you did to us. We learned that genocide solves nothing. It only creates more pain, more hate, more war. We refuse to become what you are. Those words hit Valira harder than any weapon. She had spent 2 centuries believing she was a hero of the Kethran Empire, a great warrior who eliminated a threat. But looking at these humans, survivors of her attack, she saw something she had never seen before. Her own reflection. And she did not like what she saw. "I will take your proposal to the council," Valira said quietly, "but I cannot promise they will agree." "Then we will wait," Mireille said. "We have waited 200 years, we can wait a little longer. But not forever." The summit ended. The humans departed. Valira returned to Kethran space with a heavy heart. She knew the council would refuse. She knew Draxus and his allies would call for war. She knew the Empire would choose pride over peace, and she knew, deep in her soul, that if war came... Valira could not sleep. For 7 days she had reviewed reports, analyzed data, and searched for patterns. Every answer led to more questions. Every discovery revealed how little she truly knew. The Kethran High Council demanded answers. They sent messages daily, growing more aggressive. Some called her paranoid. Others called her a fool. How could humans survive 200 years without detection? It was impossible. It had to be a trick, but Valira knew better. She had seen Daeun's eyes. She had heard Mireille's message. This was real. War Chief Rathek entered her private chamber. Long-range sensors detected something. An old station in the Void Nebula. Station Helix 7. "I know that station. We abandoned it 40 years ago. Unstable orbit." "Yes, but the orbit has been corrected. Someone has been maintaining it." Valira stood immediately. "Prepare my ship. I will investigate personally." "War Chief, that could be dangerous." "Everything is dangerous now, Rathek. Everything we thought we knew is wrong. I need to see this myself." They traveled for 2 days through the Void Nebula, a dense cloud of gas and debris that interfered with sensors. Station Helix 7 appeared on their screens like a ghost, a massive structure floating in the purple mist. The station was old, built during the early expansion of the Kethran Empire. It should have been falling apart. Instead, it looked maintained, repaired, used. "Life signs?" Valira asked. "None, but that means nothing anymore." They docked carefully. A boarding team accompanied Valira inside, weapons ready. The station's interior was dark, powered down. Their lights cut through the shadows as they moved through empty corridors. "This place should be a ruin," one soldier whispered. "But look, the walls are clean. The air is breathable. Someone has been here." They found it in the central hub, a large room filled with equipment. Human equipment, computers, generators, fabricators, all offline now, but clearly used recently. And in the center of the room, a holographic projector. "Do not touch anything," Valira ordered. But as she stepped closer, the projector activated automatically. Mireille appeared again, life-sized this time. She looked directly at Valira, as if she could see her. "Welcome, War Chief. I hoped you would come. This station is one of many. We used it for 30 years before moving on. You will not find us here, but you will find our story." The hologram changed. It showed the evacuation of Earth, ships fleeing the burning planet. Valira recognized the scene. She had been there, commanding the Kethran fleet. "You let some of us escape," Mireille's voice continued. "Perhaps by accident. Perhaps by mercy. It does not matter. Those ships carried 10,000 souls, children mostly, and a handful of adults to care for them." The hologram showed the ships entering the Void Nebula. They shut down all systems, drifting in the dark. Inside, children slept in cryopods while adults worked in silence, conserving every resource. "We drifted for 3 years," Mireille said. 16 ships entered the nebula. Only 7 emerged. The others ran out of power, ran out of air. We do not forget them. We never forget. The hologram shifted again. It showed the survivors finding this station. They docked carefully, explored cautiously. It was abandoned, yes, but it had power, resources, a chance. We made it home. We raised the children here, taught them to survive, taught them to be silent, and we sent scouts out into the galaxy looking for others. Valira watched, transfixed. The hologram showed decades passing in minutes. Children growing up on the station. Adults teaching them engineering, medicine, warfare. Everything needed to survive. We found other survivor groups, not many. Maybe 3,000 humans total scattered across dead space. We connected them, created a network, built new ships from salvage and stolen technology. The hologram showed human ships, small and dark, moving through the galaxy like ghosts. They avoided Kethran patrols. They traded with neutral species. They learned everything they could about their enemy. For 50 years we simply survived, Mirai said. But survival is not enough. We needed to rebuild, to become strong. So we made a plan. A long plan. One that would take generations. Valera saw humans establishing hidden colonies on dead moons, mining asteroids for resources, building factories in places no one looked, all in absolute silence, all invisible to Kethran sensors. We developed new technology, stealth systems based on Kethran designs but improved, quantum engines that left no energy trail, weapons we hoped never to use. And we waited. We watched you conquer the galaxy, watched you enslave species, watched you grow comfortable in your power. The hologram showed the present. A fleet of human ships, maybe 50 vessels, all dark and sleek. They moved through space like shadows. We are not the species you destroyed, War Chief. We are what your genocide created. Harder, smarter, more patient, and we are tired of hiding. The message ended. Valera stood in silence, her mind reeling. Around her, soldiers looked uncertain, afraid. War Chief, Rathek said quietly. This changes everything. Before Valera could respond, alarms blared. The station shook. We are under attack, a soldier shouted. They ran to the viewports. Outside, a Kethran patrol ship was firing on them. But they were not the target. 3 Kethran destroyers had entered the nebula, detecting their presence. And then Valera saw it. A human ship. Sleek and black, it emerged from the purple mist like a predator. It was half the size of a Kethran destroyer but moved with incredible speed. They are attacking us, Rathek shouted, but the human ship did not fire on Valera's vessel. Instead, it engaged the 3 destroyers. Valera watched in amazement as the human ship dodged every weapon fired at it. Its movements were precise, calculated, almost beautiful. The human ship fired. Not missiles or plasma, something else. Energy beams that wrapped around the Kethran destroyers like nets. The 3 ships went dark, their systems shut down, disabled, not destroyed. A transmission came through on Valera's communicator. A male voice, calm and measured. War Chief Valera, this is Taiyang of the human fleet. Your soldiers are unharmed. Their ships will restore power in 1 hour. This is a demonstration. We could have killed them. We chose not to. Remember that. The human ship vanished into the nebula before Kethran reinforcements could arrive. Valera stood at the viewport long after the battle ended. Her destroyers floated in space, dark and helpless, just as the human ships had once been. The symmetry was not lost on her. They could have destroyed us, Rathek said. Why did they not? Valera remembered Dion's words. This was never about revenge because they are making a point, Valera said quietly. They are showing us they have the power to strike back. But they are choosing not to. Not yet. What do they want? Valera turned to her second-in-command. I think they want us to be afraid, to doubt, to understand that we are not as powerful as we believed. Are we going to report this to the High Council? Valera thought about the Council, about the politicians who would deny reality until it destroyed them, about the generals who would want to attack immediately, starting another war. Yes, she said finally, and I will tell them the truth. Humanity is alive. They are organized. They are advanced. And we are no longer the hunters. Then what are we? Valera looked out at the stars, at the vast darkness where humans hid and planned and grew stronger. We are the ones being hunted, she said, and we just realized it. The journey back to Kethran space was long and silent. Valera spent the time reviewing everything she knew about humans, their history, their psychology, their capacity for both creation and destruction. 200 years ago, she had believed she ended them. Now she understood that she had only transformed them, made them into something new, something dangerous. And deep in her heart, in a place she rarely acknowledged, Valera felt something strange. Not just fear, not just respect, guilt. She had destroyed a world, killed billions, and those who survived had every right to hate her, to want revenge. But instead they offered restraint. They disabled Kethran ships without killing. They sent messages instead of missiles. Why? What did humanity want? Valera did not know. But she intended to find out. Because the alternative was another war, and this time she was not certain the Kethran Empire would win. This time humanity knew what was coming. And they had spent 2 centuries preparing for it. The interrogation room was cold and dark. Dune sat in a metal chair, her hands bound with energy restraints that hummed softly. She had been here for 6 hours. They had not given her food or water. They had not hurt her yet. She knew they would. The door opened. War Chief Valera entered alone, without guards. This surprised Dune. Either Valera was very confident or very desperate. "Tell me how you survived," Valera said, sitting across from her. Dune smiled. "Which story would you like? The official one or the truth? Do not play games with me, human." "I am not playing." Dune leaned forward as much as her restraints allowed. "You want to know how we survived? We scattered. When you destroyed Earth, some ships escaped. Not many, maybe 20. Maybe less. They fled into the darkest parts of space, places where even your empire does not go." Valera's eyes narrowed. "Our sensors would have tracked them. Your sensors track heat signatures, energy emissions, life support systems. We shut them all down. We drifted like corpses through the void. Children were put in cryosleep. Adults worked in shifts, breathing recycled air in the dark. Some ships did not make it. They ran out of power. They ran out of air. But some did. Where did they go? Everywhere, nowhere." Dune's voice was steady. "Dead systems that were mined out centuries ago. Failed colonies abandoned by other species. Asteroid fields where no one looks. We made homes in the places others threw away." Valera stood and paced. "That would take resources, technology. You had nothing. We had everything we needed. We had each other. And we had something else." Dune paused. "We had your carelessness." The war chief's hand went to her weapon. "Explain. You won the war. You destroyed our world, and then you forgot about us. Your empire expanded in other directions. You conquered new systems. You fought new enemies. And while you were busy building your empire, we were busy surviving." Valera slammed her fist on the table. "Surviving is not enough to hide for 200 years. You would need technology." "Advanced technology?" Dune nodded slowly. "We stole it. From you." The silence that followed was heavy. Valera stared at the human with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "Impossible." "Is it?" Dune asked. "Your empire is vast. You have 1,000,000 ships, 1,000,000,000 soldiers, territories spanning half the galaxy. How carefully do you guard your research stations, your supply depots, your archives?" Valera said nothing. "We learned your language," Dune continued. "We studied your culture. We found sympathizers among other species you conquered. Not everyone loves the Kethran Empire, War Chief. Some of them helped us, gave us access codes, warned us of patrols, shared your technology. You are lying, am I?" Dune's eyes were hard. "Then explain how I speak perfect Kethran. Explain how I knew exactly where to be found. Explain how this cryopod survived 200 years in space without power failure." Valera grabbed Dune by the collar and lifted her from the chair. "Where are the others? How many survived?" "Enough," Dune said again. "Always enough." The war chief threw her back down. She activated a communicator on her wrist. "Rathek, deploy search teams to the outer reaches. Every dead system within 500 light years. I want full sensor sweeps." "War Chief, that will take months." "Do it now." Valera turned back to Dune. "We will find your hiding places. We will find your people. And this time I will make sure none survive." Dune laughed. It was a cold sound. "You think we would send me here if we were afraid of you finding us? I am not a prisoner, War Chief. I am a message. Proof that you failed. Proof that we endure. A message from whom? From those who remember. From those who rebuilt. From the children of Earth who grew up in the dark and learned to thrive there." Valera leaned close. "Give me names, locations, anything useful, and I will grant you a quick death." "I will give you nothing," Dune said. "But others will give you everything. You are about to receive many messages, War Chief. From places you thought were empty. From stations you thought were abandoned. From the dark corners of your empire where humans have been living under your nose for generations." The War Chief's communicator buzzed. Rathek's voice came through, urgent. "War Chief, we are receiving reports. A scouting party found evidence of recent habitation on Station Krell 9. It was supposed to be abandoned 50 years ago. Search it completely," Valera ordered. We did. They found food supplies dated within the last month, equipment, living quarters, and a message carved into the wall in human language. "What does it say?" There was a pause. "It says we never left." Valera's blood went cold. She looked at Dune, who was smiling now. "It begins." the human said softly. Over the next 3 days, reports flooded in, evidence of human presence on 17 different locations, always recent, always abandoned just before Kethrin forces arrived. It was as if humans were everywhere and nowhere, leaving traces deliberately. Valira reviewed each report personally. Abandoned shelters, supply caches, encoded transmissions that appeared briefly and then vanished. Each discovery was a knife in her certainty. Humans had not just survived. They had thrived. On the 4th day, Valira returned to the interrogation room. Dayon looked weaker now, but her eyes were still bright. "How long have you been planning this?" Valira asked. "Planning what?" "This revelation, this game. You wanted me to find those stations. You left those messages deliberately." Dayon nodded. "Yes, we wanted you to know. We wanted you to doubt. For 200 years, you believed you won. You believed humanity was extinct. You celebrated your victory, but it was built on a lie, War Chief. And now that lie is crumbling. Why now? Why reveal yourselves after all this time?" Dayon's expression grew serious. "Because we are ready. Because we have waited long enough. Because the children who were born in the darkness have grown strong enough to step into the light again." Valira felt her control slipping. "You are one human. One ship, one message. Do you truly believe that frightens me?" "I am not here to frighten you," Dayon said. "I am here to prepare you for what comes next." "And what comes next?" Dayon leaned back in her chair. "First contact." But this time, on our terms, the door burst open. A guard rushed in, breathless. "War Chief, you need to see this, now." Valira followed him to the command deck. On the main screen was a holographic message. A woman appeared, human, middle-aged, with gray hair and tired eyes. She wore a simple uniform. "War Chief Valira," the woman said. "My name is Mirai. I lead what remains of humanity. Or perhaps I should say, what has become of humanity. We have watched you for 2 centuries. Learned from you. Grown because of you. Thank you for making us stronger. Thank you for teaching us to survive. And thank you for sending Dayon home safely. Because if you harm her, you will discover just how much we have learned." The message ended. Valira stood frozen. Around her, the command deck was silent. Every officer stared at the screen. "Analysis," Valira said quietly. The communications officer worked quickly. "The transmission came from everywhere, War Chief. 30 different relay points across the sector, all activated simultaneously, all shut down immediately after. We cannot trace the origin." Rathek stepped forward. "War Chief, this could still be a bluff. Small numbers using technology to appear larger." But Valira was not listening. She was remembering the final battle of Earth. The evacuation ships fleeing into the dark. She had let them go, believing they would die. She had been wrong. And that mistake had given humanity 200 years to prepare. "Release the human," Valira said. "War Chief, release her now, return her to her ship." Dayon was brought to the hangar. A small vessel waited, human design, sleek and dark. As she walked toward it, she paused and looked back at Valira. "This was never about revenge," Dayon said. "This was about showing you the truth. What you do with that truth is up to you." The human ship departed, vanishing into the black. Valira watched it go, her mind full of questions and growing dread. Somewhere in the darkness, humanity was waiting, and now they wanted to be seen. The grand hall of the Twilight Throne stretched like a cathedral of metal and death. War Chief Valira stood on the highest platform, her crimson armor reflecting the light of 1,000 conquered stars. Below her, representatives from 50 systems knelt in submission, offering tribute to the Kethrin Empire. She had seen this ceremony countless times. Gold from mining worlds, crystals from ice planets, slaves from primitive civilizations. Nothing surprised her anymore. Nothing moved her cold heart. "Next," she commanded, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. A small delegation approached, dragging something heavy. It was a cryopod, ancient and scarred with battle marks. The metal was old, very old. Valira's eyes narrowed. She recognized that design. "War Chief," the delegation leader said, trembling. "We found this in the outer reaches, floating in dead space. We thought you would want to see it." Commander Rathek stepped forward, his hand on his weapon. "What is inside?" The delegation leader's hands shook. "We do not know. The pod is sealed with old technology. Technology from before the Great Purge." Valira felt something stir in her chest. Not fear. She had forgotten fear 200 years ago. But something close to it. A memory. "Open it," she ordered. The technicians worked quickly, their tools sparking against the ancient locks. The pod hissed, releasing vapor that had been frozen for centuries. Slowly, the lid lifted. Inside lay a human. The hall fell silent. Every soldier, every servant, every dignitary stared in disbelief. Humans were dead. Everyone knew this. War Chief Valira herself had killed them all 2 centuries ago. She had stood on their moon and watched their planet burn. She had hunted the last evacuation ships through the void. She had ended their species. Yet here one lay, sleeping in frozen time. Valira descended from her platform, her footsteps heavy. She approached the pod slowly, as if approaching a ghost. The human was young, female, with dark hair and peaceful features. She wore a military uniform, old style, from the final days of Earth. Impossible, Valira whispered. Rathek moved beside her. Perhaps a survivor we missed? One pod that escaped? No, Valira's voice was hard. I destroyed them all. Every ship, every station, every colony. I watched their sun dim as their civilization died. This cannot be. The human's eyes opened. Valira's hand went to her weapon, but the human did not move. She simply looked up at the war chief with calm, dark eyes. Eyes that held no fear. Eyes that held something worse. Knowledge. Hello, War Chief Valira, the human said in perfect Kethran. I have a message for you. The hall erupted in chaos. Guards rushed forward, weapons raised. But Valira raised her hand, stopping them. She stared down at this impossible creature, this ghost from a dead world. Speak, Valira commanded. The human sat up slowly in the pod. She was weak from the long sleep, but her voice was steady. My name is Deun. I was born 50 years after you destroyed Earth. I have never seen my homeworld. I have only seen the recordings of what you did. Valira's jaw tightened. You lie. I killed the last humans 200 years ago. Deun smiled. It was not a happy smile. You killed billions, but not all. Some of us survived. We scattered into the dark places of the galaxy. The dead systems, the abandoned stations, the places no one looks. Impossible, Rathek growled. Our sensors would have found you. Your sensors look for life, Deun said. We learned to hide from life. We learned to be ghosts. Valira felt her world tilting. For 200 years, she had carried the weight of genocide on her shoulders. She had believed humanity was extinct, erased from the universe by her hand. It was her greatest victory and her deepest shame. But if humans lived, if they had survived, how many? Valira asked quietly. Deun met her eyes. Enough, the war chief's mind raced. She remembered the final battle. The human fleet had been destroyed, yes, but some evacuation ships had escaped into the outer dark. She had let them go, believing they would die in the void without support, without colonies, without hope. She had been wrong. Why reveal yourself now? Valira demanded. If you survived this long in hiding, why come here? Why surrender yourself to me? Deun stood, her legs shaking but her spine straight. I am not surrendering. I am delivering a message. The war never ended, War Chief. We just got better at fighting it. Valira grabbed Deun by the throat and lifted her off her feet. The human gasped but did not struggle. Around them, guards raised their weapons, but no one moved. Everyone waited for Valira's command. I could kill you right now, Valira hissed. Just like I killed your ancestors. You could, Deun choked out. But it would not change the truth. We are alive. We have always been alive. Watching you, learning from you, waiting. Valira threw Deun to the ground. The human coughed, gasping for air, but she looked up at the war chief with that same calm expression. No fear, no hate, just certainty. Take her to the interrogation chambers, Valira ordered. I want to know everything. Every hiding place. Every survivor. Every lie she tells. Guards dragged Deun away. The human did not resist. As she passed through the doorway, she looked back at Valira one last time. You should have made sure, Deun said. You should have checked every ship, every pod, every dark corner of space. Because we remembered, War Chief. We remembered everything you did, and humans never forget. The door closed. The hall remained silent. Valira stood alone on her platform, staring at the empty cryopod. Her perfect victory, her complete triumph, had just crumbled to dust. Rathek approached carefully. War Chief, this could be a trick. One survivor means nothing. One survivor means everything, Valira said quietly. If one lived, others lived. If others lived, they bred. If they bred... She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. For 200 years, Valira had believed herself the executioner of humanity. Now she wondered if she had only been the beginning of their story. And if humans had survived this long in secret, learning and planning and preparing, what did that mean for the Kethran Empire? What did it mean for her? Valira looked out at the stars beyond her flagship. Somewhere in that darkness, humans were hiding, watching, waiting. And for the first time in 2 centuries, War Chief Valira felt something she had not felt since she was young. Fear.